Good morning, beloveds. It's actually morning this morning. Whatever issue my phone was having yesterday does not appear to be having it today. Although I'm not sure I'm awake. That's okay. It's going to be hot for the next several days. Like the hundreds. And it feels like they're going to be in the 110s. So please drink plenty of water and make sure that you check yourself and stay safe. So... And I may switch to biking for a few weeks exclusively for my engaging my mind and body. All right, we have an interesting title today. I'm going to reserve judgment. It is June 13th. Our title is Tolerance. Our author is Helen Schueman. It's from A Course in Miracles, which from 1975, the Manual of Teachers. To judge is to be dishonest. For to judge is to assume a position you do not have. Judgment without self-deception is impossible. Judgment implies that you have been deceived in your brothers. How then could you not have been deceived in yourself? Judgment implies a lack of trust. Trust remains the bedrock of the teacher of God's whole thought system. Let this be lost, and all their learning goes. Without judgment are all things equally acceptable, for who could judge otherwise? Without judgment are all people siblings, for who is there who stands apart? Judgment destroys honesty and shatters trust. No teacher of God can judge and hope to learn. And that's it. And I don't know what to do with that. So I'm going to go back to that in a minute. But I'm going to share with you two things. One, there is a difference between judgment and discernment. We are allowed to use discernment. We are allowed to choose. We are allowed to take the information that we have and make a decision. So, you are allowed to discern things, but discernment generally means receiving information. Frequently, judgments are snap, and there's not enough information. I think that's her argument. But I'll go back in. And two, I've been seeing it. It's a logic argument about practicing tolerance. And there are things that we shouldn't tolerate. We should not tolerate hate speech. We should not tolerate oppression. And the argument is how do we be tolerant without being intolerant? And how do we look at things and go, yeah, that's not okay. And what it is remembering that it's a social contract. Okay. The Nazis being the example that I think that the author used in there is that we have a social contract. You do you, I'll do me. We're not going to worry about it. But the minute one party starts to call for the extermination of a specific group of people, i.e. the Nazis, then they have broken the social contract and are no longer covered by the social contract of tolerance. Therefore, we do not tolerate their behavior. So, that, and I was like, okay, that makes sense. It's like we make a social contract to tolerate each other, but once whoever the party is, no longer is tolerating, meaning letting me live my life the way I want to, then they've broken the social contract and they're no longer covered by it. And then therefore I do not tolerate their behavior. So, and I was like, that makes sense. Because frequently you'll hear, it's like, oh, well, this party preaches tolerance and they're being intolerant of this group of people. Well, yeah, they're being intolerant of this group of people because this group of people wants to kill people. And that's not okay. And I was like, they've broken the social contract. So I was like, that's a good explanation. I probably did not do it near the justice that it was. Okay, so let's go back to Helen Schueman. To judge is to be dishonest. And For to judge is to assume a position you do not have. Probably an information you do not have. Judgment without self-deception is impossible. I wish she would explain what she means by self-deception. Judgment implies that you have been deceived in your siblings. And I don't know what she's talking about. How then could you not have been deceived in yourself? I do agree judgment implies a lack of trust. And trust remains a bedrock of the teachers of God's whole thought system. Without judgment, all things are equally acceptable, for who could judge otherwise? Okay, see, now that's where I was. Without judgment, are all things equally acceptable, for who could judge otherwise? Okay, and that's what I was talking about with tolerance. There are certain things that are not okay. Harming other people is not okay. And that's why I made the comment about discernment. If you are in a situation where you are being harmed, you have every right to get out of it. You have every right to discern that it is not a healthy environment for you. You have every right not to tolerate it. Okay? So, but then it comes down to, it's Pride Month. And so I keep seeing the meme that says we're never going to know the nuances of gender identity. We just aren't. I mean, there's as many ways to do gender identity as there are people on this planet, right? We'll never know the nuances. But what we do understand is that we will never know somebody as well as they know themselves. So when somebody tells us who they are, it's our job to believe them. It's our job to believe them. And not to sit here on our high horses, and this is probably what she's talking about, and tell them who they are. That's not our job. Our job is to worry about who we are. Well, not to worry about, but to get to know who we are, not to tell other people who they are. So, and maybe that's what she's talking about. She's just not, I don't know. Without judgment, all things equally acceptable, for who could judge otherwise? And that's what I'm talking about. You could talk to somebody for 24 hours straight, and you will never know more than a tenth about them. And that is a quote from Jesse. And that's the truth. So when it comes down to it, we get to let people tell us who they are. And we get to accept that. And that is tolerance, because we do not have the information to judge. And maybe that's what she's talking about, about the self-deception, and I think a little bit it shatters trust. It's like, if I'm busy telling you who you are, then, I can see why you wouldn't trust me, because I don't know, I could know you for 20 years and I still don't know, you still have the right to tell me who you are, And if I'm busy telling you who you are, then why would you trust me? And I do tell you who you are. I tell you that you are a beloved child of God. Beyond that, that's up to you. Okay. Without judgment are all people siblings, for who is there who stands apart? Judgment destroys honesty and shatters trust. No teacher of God can judge and hope to learn. That last line, no teacher of God can judge and hope to learn. Yeah. We can make discernments, and we can make choices. Just because somebody walks into our life, we don't have to keep them. We don't have to judge them. We can just go, yep, yeah, you're not my cup of tea, and we'll just let that go. But I shouldn't harm you, if I disagree with you. I have no business harming you. And I think that's the point she's getting at. I do agree she's a little heavy-handed, and but I get the feeling she's probably like Emma Curtis Hopkins, where she has the finger of, and it's like, this is the way it is. She's practicing hardball metaphysics, and honestly, nothing is black and white. We all live in the gray. We all live in the gray. And so our goal is to do the best we can with the information that we can. And when we screw up, to make amends and to learn from it, and to let people be who they are, and to endeavor not to harm anybody, and to interrupt harm when we see it. And self-harm too, and judgment is one of the most self-harming things that we can do, I believe. Because I think maybe that's her point, is, are all people not siblings? Are we not all beloved children of God? No person is apart. No person is above one another. There's no one who can say to you, you're not good enough. There's nobody that can say that. And if somebody thinks that they can, well, then they need to go back and look at themselves and figure out who they are. Okay. I went all kinds of weird places with this one today. So, and I'm not sure how to get a mission out of this one, because it's just, yeah. 1975 is not that long ago, and yet the language in this one is weird. So, no teacher of God can judge and hope to learn. The mission today, should we choose to accept it, is when we find ourselves judging, because it happens, to stop and look and say at ourselves and say, what am I getting out of this? What is in it for me to judge this other person? And if it's to make ourselves feel better about ourselves, well, that's not okay. And then we can reevaluate what's going on. Almost every situation where we find ourselves judging, we don't even have a small part of the picture, much less a lot of information. So if we find ourselves in that judging position, then let's ask ourselves, what's in this for me? And maybe reevaluate what we're doing. All right. Hi. Some days these ladies make me work, and today is one of them. I get what she's trying to say. I hope I did her justice. I hope I did you justice. Tolerance is a thing. All right. It is a social contract. Okay. All right. I'm going to move on to the other half of this and remind you, because, yeah, she's talking about how, yeah. I'm going to remind you of the spiritual practice of doing something loving for yourself, doing something kind for yourself, doing something compassionate for yourself. And one of the most loving, kind, and compassionate things you can do is not judge yourself or others. Honestly. In her words, judgment shatters trust. And trust is the bedrock of the whole system of love. So, that's, yeah. Which is why I suggested to look at when we catch ourselves judging, what do we get out of it? So, again, loving, kind, and compassionate. It also looks like taking a deep breath before we speak. And part of that is so that we can look at what we're going to say and, use our discernment, not our judgment, but our discernment. This is the most loving, kind, and compassionate thing I can say. What is the benefit of me saying this? Am I going to harm anybody when I say this? That's what that moment is about. And you got a good heart. You got a good heart. You got a good soul. Uh, it also looks like taking a walk, taking a nap, taking a break, giving yourselves time, giving ourselves time. It also looks like making room for joy. I make no bones about this being self-care. I find it ironic that June, the theme of the Science of Mind magazine is self-care. It is extraordinarily important, especially with it being as hot as it is already. It's like self-care is super important. Drink the water. Your brain works better when it's hydrated. Drink the water. That is self-care. That is, being loving, kind, and compassionate with yourself. But I say, make room for joy. I say, eat dessert first. I remind you your life is a special occasion. So no matter what's going on in the world, you deserve joy. Make room for it. Okay? So take the break, but eat dessert. Wear the nice clothes. Wear the comfortable clothes. Whatever it is that brings you joy, do more of that. Do more of that. Yes, we have duties. Yes, we have responsibilities, but do more of what brings you joy. I've seen it written that one of the reasons why we're tired is it's not that we're doing too much. It's we're not doing enough of what brings us joy. So make room for that. Okay. Yeah. I can feel my sinuses right now, so maybe that's why I'm a little discombobulated. The rest of the suggestions: to do something to engage your mind and your body, to drink plenty of water. I did mention hydration. As hot as it is, hydration is super important. So please make the effort. To get that early in your day bright light. The clouds are like practically non-existent right now. So I did get mine early in my day bright light. I did get that sunshine on my face. But if you get up before the sun, artificial light counts. So please, these are all self-care. I want you to take care of yourself so that you can live your best life. And you don't have to take my advice. It's just the advice that I live by. So I'm sharing it with you. And then I'm going to share you my favorite Ernest Holmes quote. Open the windows of your soul. Allow the breath of heaven to remind you. You do live in heaven right here, right now. It's all around us all the time. I make all these suggestions because I want you to create a well-worn path to the source of your own being. So that no matter what happens in your life, you can get directly to the infinite source of love, kindness, and compassion. So that you can respond lovingly, kindly, and compassionately to whatever is going on. Now, sometimes situations happen and we do not belong in them, and we respond lovingly, kindly, and compassionately, and then we extract ourselves. Love, kindness, and compassion does not demand you say in a situation that is not for you. Because that is not loving, kind, and compassionate for you, all right? So remember that while yes is loving, kind, and compassionate, so is no. All right. And what I'm talking about, opening the windows of our soul, is heaven is a state of mind. It is a state of consciousness. Once you learn to create it for yourself, nobody can take it away from you. And it ceases to be a place that you have to get to and becomes any place you are. Because you look around and you recognize that it's all God. It's all God. And then you can go about creating the good. Because you are connected to an infinite source of it. Okay? Remember who you are. Remember where your power comes from. And focus your attention on that. Where your attention goes is where your power goes. And you are connected to an infinite source of power. Use it wisely. Okay? All right. I don't know what I was about to say. I guess I'm at the social media part where I will remind you that we are Creative Life Spiritual Center, Creative Life Spark. I'm the Running Rev Ryan on the social medias that I am on. There is lots of great content, including I read this thing called You, which is my favorite Science of Mind book. It's not perfect. It's real, but I want everybody to have access to it. And if reading is not your thing, because I'm dyslexic, I get it. I just have a very mild form of dyslexia, and it affects me more in numbers than words. I wanted that book to be available. And if there are other books out there that you can't find audible copies of, let us know. Reverend David and I might read them. So, please let us know. All right. If you want to know what's going on with the center, email info@creativelife.org. That will get you a constant contact. That way, you'll know what's going on, and the hot links are hot. If it says click here now, it'll take you right to the Soul Session playlist. Is my favorite playlist on the Creative Life Spiritual Center page, because there's so much great content and so many interesting people on that. It says click here now. It takes you right there. And then from there, you can like and subscribe and get all that stuff. Okay. I'm going to jump forward now into encouraging you to have a great day, a wondrous day, a fantastic day, a magical day, an enchanted day, a wonder-filled day, an awesome day, a stay cool day, a drink plenty of water day, a hydrate day, a find the shade day, a good day. And if that is too much pressure, simply have a day. You are enough just as you are. You are a beloved child of God. I am telling you this. This is the truth of your being. This is the truth of my being. This is what I know. And this has nothing to do with judgment. It is the knowing that we are individualized centers in the oversoul. You are a brilliant light, a divine spark. You are spirit in motion. You are God in action. Or as Reverend Jesse likes to call us, you are a godling. Okay? Know the truth of your being. Know who you are. And then, join us in treating that everybody else knows who they are. If we want tolerance and a lack of judgment, that is how we do it. By treating that everybody knows who they are. And that everybody recognizes the source of their own being and the source of their own good. All right? Okay. Reverend David should be on around 5 p.m. with you. I'll be back with you around 9 a.m. Take care of yourself, and I will see you next time.